Porn is the reason you can't stay hard. And I'm not just saying that for morality. This is deeper than morality. This is wiring in your brain. Whenever you watch porn and whenever you're sitting there scrolling through all these fucking porn videos, you're getting hit with so much novelty and so much constant stimulation. So you probably knows it's true because you sit there and you'll fucking edge yourself. Edging is like whenever you sit there and do the act, but you don't finish. You'll just sit there and do it so that it feels good for like a longer period of time. So that's basically what edging is. But you'll do that. And then throughout this time, you're getting such high levels of the stimulation and dopamine. And then after, you crash and then you wonder why you feel so shameful and you feel like shit. And that's exactly what our brains are made to do. Our brains are made to chase pleasure. They're meant to make us feel good, even if the feeling good action is actually fucking us over, and ruining our mental. The brain will build an arousal template, and it builds it from repetition. So let me explain. So whenever you sit here and you watch porn, that actually is building this automatic connection between your brain and your hand and your fucking phone or whatever you use to watch the porn. So that your brain automatically starts to create less friction. So that whenever you get that urge, you can instantly just go watch porn. Because your brain hates friction. The more friction is in between you and that bad habit, the less likely you're going to do it. And your brain still thinks it feels good. So obviously it's going to remove the friction. But whenever you sit here and you watch porn over and over and over, some people even watch it multiple times a day, it builds and it compounds in a negative way. You'll start looking at women wrong. You won't be able to love women. Your fucking dick won't even get hard. Like whenever you're with a woman and she's right in front of you, like these are real effects. So I'm gonna tell you something that's probably gonna hurt to hear. But if you've had a porn addiction, especially for my young guys who are on self-improvement, who are on, entrepreneurs, if they've had a porn addiction, especially in a relationship, and if your girlfriend has ever found out about your porn usage, I'm sure it's absolutely crushed your girlfriend. You keep watching it. You don't necessarily like porn. You definitely don't watch it for the fucking girls. Like, the porn stars, whatever. Fuck them. Fuck those fucking girls. You watch this shit because your brain, you created this automatic bad habit. And real bodies, real girls, real women that you guys get with, they cannot keep up with this constant stimulation and constant novelty that you get from porn. So think about this for a second. Earlier, I just talked about how stimulating edging is. Whenever you kind of strand it along instead of just getting to it and finishing. A normal woman's body and you having sex with a woman is nowhere near as stimulating as porn because porn is literally built to fucking like overstimulate your brain. And this is true. You'll have the woman in front of you and you can't even get hard. Another bad thing with watching porn is something called a dopamine desensitization. And what that is whenever you get the same amount of stimulation but less results, less yield. So you watch porn, you feel fucking fantastic. And then it crashes, and then the next day you watch porn, it feels good, it's not as good as it was yesterday, you fucking crash. And then you do it the next day, and then you keep doing it. And then eventually you're doing the same thing, but you're getting a less and less stimulation. So you're literally desensitizing your brain to porn. And think about it. Porn is literally one of the most stimulating things. Like obviously there's drugs and shit. I don't really have experience with that, but porn is so stimulating compared to the rest of life, and it's all the way up here. So whenever we watch porn so much to where it actually starts becoming less stimulating, it's no fucking wonder you cannot do anything in your life because you are so desensitized. Porn has actively ruined you. Porn for us young especially like I see this in young entrepreneurs, young guys on self-improvement. Porn is the enemy. If there's one enemy we can look at, it's porn. Because porn is just a bad habit and it's linked between all these different, bad habits and bad experiences. There's something called PIDE or PIED. And what that stands for is porn-induced erectile dysfunction. So I'm sure you guys watching this don't really need to understand what that means. But essentially, you watch porn so much, your fucking dick can't get hard whenever it's a real girl. There was one time I was with a girl and I really loved this girl. Or I loved her as much as I could love her. Porn sort of makes it to where we cannot fully love a girl, a woman. And so you love her with everything you can, everything you're able to give as a porn addict. But then whenever it comes to the real intimate moments, they're completely fucking ruined because your view on intimacy is completely different from her view. You know, you've seen people getting fucked really hard on porn, all this unrealistic, horrible shit that is absolutely destroying your brain, and that's all you think about is that act. You know, you don't think about the woman or anything like that. And then whenever it comes to actual intimacy, you you can't you can't deliver. You can't get hard. You can't stay hard. And I'm sure a lot of guys who are listening to this can relate. Your bad habit of porn, it demands nothing. You know, a relationship and intimacy that requires your presence. Porn doesn't require that. You can be anonymous behind a screen, just fucking sitting there typing, and you aren't broken. Your brain has just adapted to this, into this bad addiction, because to your brain it still feels good, even though you can clearly see, you know, you're grown, you can clearly see the bad effects of porn. You don't need to sit here and lie and say that porn's good for you, or that it'll help you get rid of ball cancer. You don't need to say any of that shit, okay? We both know what porn does to people. Now, if you want, the top link in the description, it's my lock-in protocol. It's everything you need to know about porn addiction and how to get rid of it. It's a full 7 video course system. It's a one-time purchase. Go check it out if you're interested. So now in this video, I'm going to tell you how the fuck to get rid of this and how to lessen your porn addiction. Because the first half was sort of telling you what it is and why it happens. Because, you know, some people don't even notice. Some people watch porn for years, don't even realize the bad effects. Obviously, the bad effects are affecting them, but they don't go into third person and sort of view it and, notice the effects. But one thing I would recommend for any guy who's dealing with porn, because personally, I don't know you. I don't know how extreme your porn addiction is. You know, some people are very extreme, very deep. Some people just watch it once a month, once a week. Regardless, what I think you guys should do, especially the people who are more towards the hard shit, is to fix cuts of your novelty. So whenever you're sitting there fucking watching porn, try to cut that shit out. And what do I mean by that is don't edge. Okay, if you're gonna fucking watch porn, get that shit over with as quick as you can. Because not only are you wasting time, but you're giving yourself so much stimulation that you're fucking up your normal dopamine system, and it's making everything feel less rewarding. So if you're going to watch porn, you give in, you're like, oh fuck, I'm gonna do it, kind of being a pussy. Get that shit over with quick. Because then at least you're not so overstimulated where you can actually do other shit in your life and in that day. So battling a porn addiction takes a long time. It's not going to be days and it's not going to be weeks. This is consistent. You need a system in place, which I also go into in the lock-in protocol. But you need the system in place, and you need certain routines for whenever you get the urges, because the urges will come. But what I like to tell a lot of guys is that I would much rather them just be gooning or fucking jerking off, but no porn. Because porn is really fucked psychologically. It will destroy you and it will ruin you. So if you have to release, you got to do what the fuck you got to do, Just do it without porn. Now, I know a lot of people who are young who have ED, which is erectile dysfunction, and they have it because of a porn addiction. They cannot get hard with a woman. They cannot really have these real intimate moments with a woman because of how much porn they've watched, how much constant novelty and stimulation they've gotten from porn. So it's just not the same whenever they're in real life with a person. And these people have, I've had these conversations with people and they've been worried, if they should go to the doctor. And what I personally think, I'm not a doctor, but what I can tell you from someone who had a really bad porn addiction is porn fucks with a lot more of your life than you think it is. Especially if you're really deep in porn, it will completely change the way you think. So I would recommend trying to get your porn addiction under control, however that may be, investing in the course I have, watching my videos, watching someone else's videos, getting therapy, going to a doctor, whatever the case may be. I recommend getting porn out of your life as much as you can. And if you're really worried about it, go check a doctor, They'll probably put you on some fucking penis pills or something. But the sad truth is that for most of us, porn wasn't necessarily our fault at the beginning. Maybe we were introduced to it by our friends or, whatever the case may be. And we were indulging in it. We had no idea how bad this would be. So if you're watching this video without a porn addiction, you've never experienced a porn addiction, please, for the fucking love of God and everyone else watching this video, stay the hell away from porn. If you want to fucking do your goon shit, whatever the fuck, go ham. But whenever it comes to porn, stay the hell away from porn. And OnlyFans and X2 and whatever other porn websites you have, they're all the same. They're all bullshit. You can cope all you want and say that they're different, but they're all the same. The porn is bad. So this porn addiction probably wasn't even your fault. But the truth is you have to undo this shit yourself. Now, you can have as much help as you need, information or systems or whatever. but you have to end up doing it yourself. You know, in a way, you got yourself into this mess, so you have to pull yourself out. But if you do want to actually fix this, then my course is down below. It is very worth it. I promise. I'm not trying to lie to you to just get you to buy my shit. Okay, I spent so much time on this course. I read fucking tons of books on porn. I've dealt with porn addiction for years. I just understand how detrimental it can be to young men. So my goal is to just help pull as many people out as I can. So what I want you to remember whenever you're done watching this video is this one thing. It's you're not broken for thinking the way you do. You know, this is the porn addiction. So you're not broken. You're just trained by porn. And this training can be undone, and you can sort of change your brain in the way you think about this. So if you want more videos on this porn topic, I'm trying to help guys out of this, let me down below. Thanks for watching.